Okay, so parallel self and dimension. Now we go into this topic. So back to the story, what I shared, my experience of being this water fae in a Scottish lake. And the experience was of a dual one, because I was also myself on a boat on that lake, and I was there to see my other self, to meet my water fae other aspect of myself. This is why I shared the story with the consciousness, with the avatar consciousness, how many selves there are. And so I was in both, and this is also brings us back to the whales, because in the lucid experience that I had with the whales, it was also, them being alone physically in the oceans, but them also all hovering together and sharing the dream time together. And I think this is what they mean, the Aborigines, with dream time sharing. It is the going through dimension and being in each other's consciousness, being aware of each other and dreaming together our dream. Because, and this is what Elsa so beautifully shows through her experience with her parallel self Nefertiti, and her whole story of a whole family that has the parallel existence, parallel self of Nefertiti and Akhenaten's family, is that they influence each other. And Elsa, through her story, has already proven that their conscious interaction with each other, now that they can share dimension, has changed history. So that's not the story I'm going to tell today. So let's go back to me being the water fae in the Scottish lake. So I'm like down in the lake, and I'm like I know that myself is coming in the boat, and I want to meet her. So I swim to the surface, and I'm like, I go back and forth. It's a very interesting. Okay, so here's more coming in. Oh my gosh, yes, because it's not something I can remember being in this state of mind, being in these brainwaves. I can only relay, but I cannot, how should I say, fathom it. I cannot remember it anymore, what it was like, because these brainwaves, they cannot experience. You have to be in a different state of consciousness, more dreamy state of consciousness. This is where dream time comes in, to be able to be at the same time in your body in this reality and in another body in that reality, and it's both you at the same time. So that's why I say I'm going back and forth, right? Because I'm in linear time now. So it's like I'm going back and forth between being on the boat and being in the water. And then from the perspective of myself in the water fae, as the water fae, I realize, so I see, I'm looking up through the surface of the water, and I see the boat, and I see myself, the woman, standing there on the railing looking down. And in that moment I realize, they're coming to get me. So in that moment I realize that there's like a water police, but these are not the 3D water police. These are like the Men in Black water police. And they just somehow, they just started to come and get me, because they want to capture me, and they have a net that has a certain frequency, like if you've seen the movie Jumper, this boy who can jump between like wormholes. He can jump through dimension into any place on Earth, and he has this ability. And he can take physical things with him and so forth. And there's also this police, like Men in Black, that try and capture him with this net. And it's a frequency net that gives you electrical shocks, which is basically also what our whole we're going to come to that as well, what our whole AC/DC, our whole system of how we get our power that produces this, what we call electrosmog. It's also a net that keeps our consciousness low, or makes it way more difficult to alchemize it and not have that keep us. You have to have already a certain ability and maturity to not have that affect you, or to transmute the effect through with your consciousness. So I swam back down, but I did it swiftly, because it's a big thing to be caught in the net. So not that I was afraid, but I turned around swiftly. So I didn't break the water. Okay, I didn't break through. I just saw her through the surface of the water. My face almost, just in that moment before I was to break through the surface, and my face would come out of the water, and my other self in the boat would clearly see me. I got the message, they're coming, and I had to turn around. And so from my self in the boat, I just saw this white face right under the surface there for a moment, and then it was gone. I swam down deep into the lake, and then this motion happened, and I did this swish, and I was back in my dimension. Because in order to physically see myself, I had to go into the physical dimension, into that dimension. This is coming into a consciousness because it wants to show us about the interdimensionality of being. And as our consciousness is ascending now through fourth into fifth, we are opening up into a new dimension. This is also happening, of course, globally. The whole Earth is physically ascending. And so we are breaking that surface. I'm just getting this now. We are breaking the surface, going into the other dimension. And there are already aspects of ourselves. Thin, small currents, I'm just talking for myself here now, that are already being run through this is the activation of the light body, the coming online of the light body, where these currents, they're like weaves that are already being spun into our existence here in our physicality from the higher dimension. Dreamtime sharing, parallel selves, yes, whales, seti, cetus, 14th, 14th sign. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that Laura Eisenhower said that in 2010, the 13th zodiac sign appeared. She's this master astrologer. And it is Ophiuchus, yes. And so perhaps this is also about that now we are coming running some, that we're touching into the Cetus as well, the water horse, the Loch Ness, the ancient sea creature, and the standing wave. Okay, so we're coming to the standing wave.